Welcome to another episode of REV Presents. I'm Chris Mann, the SVP of REV, the gaming division of the global integrated sports marketing agency Revolution. And today, I'm excited to be joined by Ryan Griffin of the Niantic company. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, how are you, Chris?
Hey, man, how's it going? Big weekend for you guys. You had Dratini Community Day.
Sure did.
Any good catches? Any shundos out there for you?
No shundos, but a lot of fun out there with the little kid and the community in New York. So yeah, really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I spent some time walking around in Princeton. It was packed. It goes to show you the power of Pokemon, and especially Pokemon GO as a game. Been around for years now, but tons of people still in the community playing it. So for those of you out there, Ryan is in charge of brand partnerships at Niantic. He started on the agency side years back, working with brands like Samsung and American Express. He's been with Niantic for about a year and a half. He's been working with brands to essentially how they can integrate into the experiences around Niantic games such as Pokemon GO. Capture everything, Ryan?
You sure did. Absolutely.
That's great. So here's a question I love to start with. And of course, I probably know the answer to this, but if you have any other ones to share, what games have you been playing?
Yeah, well, certainly a lot of our games. Our games are a little different in that they are generally location-based. So you're kind of playing them out there in space. I live in New York, so walking around the city and, commuting, those are all games that I play. Outside of that, I've got a 9-year-old son. We spend a decent amount of time on the Switch. We definitely play some Pokemon games there, but we're also really into, I'd say, some of the more action-oriented games. We play ARMS. We play some fitness games together. So, definitely a theme around kind of, activity on our side.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's big, especially with kids. I mean, we have a 3.5-year-old, and we always try to get him playing try to get him outside and playing. But if it's a rainy day or he wants to play games, the Switch is always really clutch for that. Games like Switch Sports. But we do play a lot of Fall Guys as well. He loves Fall Guys, and rightfully so. What a fun game.
Yeah.
So Ryan, as we jump in, we like to tackle two questions for brands out there learning how to kind of immerse themselves and engage with the gaming community. And mobile gaming is massive, right? This is and honestly, it's a pretty big white space in terms of brand activations. I think you guys are doing a great job, but there's few brands that are actually coming into the space and getting into the weeds. And mobile gaming, allows kind of brands to engage a casual to hardcore audience of gamers. And so with that, how should brands think about activating with Niantic in games like Pokemon GO?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, and I think some of the larger points you were making there around the gaming space overall, that's kind of being recognized overall. We're members of the Interactive Advertising Bureau, the IAB, one of the kind of hallmark industry agency organizations overall. And back in March, they launched the Play Fronts, which was kind of this first ever marketplace to bring together where we talked about a lot of those issues. But, in terms of Niantic, again, I referenced the location-based piece. I think one of the most unique things we can offer is the ability to take the physical locations that your brand might operate in the real world and actually put them on our game maps inside of our game at the precise space location that they actually occupy in the real world. So it creates a real unique opportunity to really bridge the physical and the digital. And, our players, we call them trainers in Pokemon GO. They love so much that kind of feeling that they are walking around the real world and finding this hidden layer of kind of Pokemon that are out there existing. So kind of including your brand, offering content, offering offers for your products, different kinds of experiences, all integrated tightly into the game. It's a really authentic way, like you had talked about, kind of brands rolling up their sleeves, Chris, and kind of getting in there. I think everybody knows that authenticity is a really key part of being successful when you're integrating in a gaming space. So, again, kind of bringing your physical locations into the game is great. We've also got geo-fenced kind of placements where you can kind of draw a circle around any point of interest for a brand. It could be an event you're looking to kind of gain adjacency or alignment to, maybe something you're sponsoring. It could be your store footprint. It could be competitive store footprints. But again, in a place-based way, we can put your advertising kind of in these moments. We talk a lot about moments of a kind of want and need that a player might have while they're out there in time and space playing our games. So being able to put a brand right at the intersection of it is something I think that we really pride ourselves on a lot.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. I mean, it's like creating that authentic connection, but also adding value to their experience. And there's a lot of ways that brands can add value to the Pokemon Go community experience. And, you hit it, it's like offers, in-game cosmetics. There's so many experiences at community days, and you guys have such big events. I mean, this weekend was an example of a community day with the classic Pokemon, but there's so many other things that you guys are doing that really help connect this continuously growing community around this incredible IP. So I think that that to me is the key. Can you talk about maybe some ways in terms of adding value? What are ways that we've worked with brands such as Verizon in the past to add value to the experience of the players?
Yeah, Verizon has been a big sponsor in the game for several years now. And they have over 13,000 of their retail store locations actually on the game map. Those live as Pokemon gyms and Pokestops inside of the game. Those are all places where when you're playing the game, you're organically going there to effectively get the resources you need to actually play the game. The Pokeballs you use to catch a Pokemon, the potions you use to heal your Pokemon after you battle. So there's a great kind of footprint there for them overall. They also, when they have sponsorships, they'll activate those in the game as well. For instance, they did a series of concerts in New York and LA that they wanted to promote. So we were able just to kind of draw a geofenced radius around in New York here. It was based in Central Park. Around those events and really drive that foot traffic into that event. It was a free concert. Anyone could kind of just show up and attend in Central Park. They were really pleased with the exposure that got them. But you also, Chris, talked about our IRL events. Pokemon Go Fest in July is really our best known, where we held that this past year in the U.S. in Seattle, had over 60,000 attendees over the course of the weekend. Verizon was an official sponsor there. They also had a physical presence on the ground. They leverage us a lot for their Up Rewards program. So providing their subscribers with unique kinds of benefits, access to different kinds of in-game item bundles that, in the case of this Pokemon Go Fest experience, would help you catch more and do more and have a better experience there in Seattle on the ground over the course of the weekend there. So again, that's a great example, I think, of that kind of authentic connection where Verizon's kind of, they're writing copy and they've got signage that's talking about trainers, they're talking about raids, they're using the language and the lexicon of the game in a way that trainers, intuitively kind of understand and look at and say, okay, these guys get it. These guys are really involved and engaged. And I think, again, Verizon accretes a lot of value from that.
Yeah, giving the community what they want. It's really not that hard when you think about it. It's a
simple concept.
It's a really easy concept. I mean, as a Verizon customer, I'm always redeeming Verizon Up Rewards for Pokemon Go opportunities. I've got a lot of Verizon swag on on my avatar in game.
Yep.
Twitch Prime, you guys have done a great job there. So giving the gaming community what they want. They don't necessarily, every community is different, but you want cool stuff. Just like you want the hottest Jordans in real life, you want cool swag that no one else can get in game. And I think that it's a really simple formula. It's just how do you make it cool for every brand? And you guys have obviously unlocked that. So as you jump into the next question, obviously Niantic, you guys have a lot going on in AR. You've kind of revolutionized that in terms of gaming years back. And I'm sure you're working on some really exciting things. Can you share anything innovative that those out there on the brand side should keep in mind as they look to potentially partnering around with Niantic and around mobile gaming in the future?
Yeah, I think there's a number of things. We're currently in Pokemon Go, we're looking at doing some piloting of different ad types. If you're a trainer, you might have seen our first video ads come into the game over the course of the last couple of weeks. We're going to be doing some more testing with future brands there. We're also looking at augmented reality ads and how we can actually bring those kinds of capabilities into the game in a way that is very natural, authentic, again, to the trainer base, doesn't get in the way. I think one of the big principles, we have kind of 4 first principles around the way we integrate brands in, but one of them is that the user is really always in control and they can always opt in. They always have to engage with the ad experience. We are never going to put an ad in the way of a trainer journey or block progress in any way, shape, or form. It's always going to be something that's opt in. And the AR ads will be as well. I think we're also thinking about obviously other IPs. So we've made some recent announcements around in addition to Pikmin Bloom, which is a game that just celebrated its first birthday. It's our collaboration with Nintendo. But we've also announced NBA All World, our game in partnership with the National Basketball Association, which will be coming out next month. We also have announced Peridot, which is our first AR forward game. So this is a game that's going to be played entirely through your camera effectively. You can think of it as kind of Tamagotchi meets AR. So you have a virtual pet that you have to care for and take on journeys. The pet has desires, and you have to go and actually accomplish them out in the real world. Your Peridot might want to see a flower, for example. Can't just show it a picture of a flower because we built all the same tech we use from an AR perspective in Pokemon GO into the game, occlusion, meshing, semantic segmentation. You've got to go find a flower in the real world and point your camera at it, and that will satisfy the desire then of your Peridot. You'll accrete kind of the value from that. Your Peridot will get happy. It will become fulfilled. But it may want to also see water. It may want to see sky. There's a number of things that we're kind of doing in terms of using that augmented reality technology to bring that into the game experience in a way that we think is completely revolutionary and is really just going to change the definition of what gaming can actually be. So again, that's a Niantic IP. No one's ever heard of Peridot before. So we'll have some marketing work to do around that. But again, we think it's a very, very exciting opportunity for brands to participate in. And then, lastly, the most recent announcement came at Disney's D23 Expo. It is our partnership with Marvel for our game called World of Heroes. That's slated for a Q2 release. And can't share too much beyond that right now, but again, it's an amazing IP. We feel so blessed to have the opportunity to work with the people at Marvel in bringing this to market, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So
yeah, I'm shaking my head the whole time and smiling. Those are some incredible IPs, and obviously some really innovative opportunities when you talk about engaging AR experiences on mobile. I'm looking forward to working with you guys and learning some about those opportunities for our clients, because I think there's always ways that, for us, brands are always asking us, like, what's next? Like, what's the next hottest game? Yeah. And I'm like, there's always those AAA IPs and titles that are coming into the space, but something that's next is not just next, it's now, and that's mobile gaming. And opportunities around, what you guys have on Niantic and other mobile platforms are really white space for brands. And I think that for us, knowing that in top markets, people play up to 5 hours a day on mobile, really incredible. If there's a couple stats I'll drop with people as we close out here to help our jobs, it's like 5 hours a day in top markets. There's over 72% of the US play on mobile. That's over 200 million people that are engaging with games like Pokemon GO on a daily basis for a very long duration. And of course that, highly sought after Gen Z target, 60% play on mobile. And so again, as a brand marketer out there, if you're looking for an opportunity within gaming to essentially attract on some white space and really engage gamers from a casual to hardcore audience, mobile gaming isn't just what's in the future and what's next, it's now. And so, with that, I really appreciate your time, Ryan. Thank you so much for sharing some incredible insights on what you're working on with Niantic. I'm looking forward to getting out there and catching more Pokemon later today. If people need to find you, where can they find you on socials or find Niantic?
You can find me on Twitter at @rgriffin. You can find me via email. Feel free to drop me a line at Ryan Griffin at Niantic Labs as well.
Great. Thank you, Ryan, so much. For those of you that are tuning in from our partnership with Synopsis Media, thank you so much. We appreciate you spending some time with us and learning about the gaming and esports industry. And until next time, take care, play some games, have some fun, guys. Talk soon.